Rain poured relentlessly against the cafe window as Ethan Cole sat nervously at the small corner table, clutching 2 cups of cocoa, one for himself, and a smaller one for the boy beside him. His 7-year-old son, Liam, was doodling superheroes on a napkin with a broken blue crayon, oblivious to his father's silent panic. Ethan glanced at the door every few seconds, his heart pounding. He wasn't nervous because it was a blind date. He was nervous because he hadn't planned to bring his son along. "Dad, are we gonna get pancakes?" Liam asked, swinging his legs. Ethan smiled faintly. "Yeah, buddy. Pancakes. Extra syrup." He hoped that sounded confident, even though he had exactly $12.46 left in his wallet. Then the cafe door opened, and Grace Mitchell stepped inside. She was poised, elegant, and looked slightly out of place among the dripping umbrellas and steaming mugs of coffee. Her long black coat was tailored perfectly, her posture calm and confident. Ethan froze. He recognized her from her company's website. Grace wasn't just anyone, she was a CEO, the kind of woman who managed teams, signed deals, and probably didn't have time for broken single fathers like him. Grace spotted him and smiled warmly as she approached. "Ethan?" He stood quickly, almost knocking over his cocoa. "Hi, Grace." "Yeah. Hi." Her eyes fell on the small boy sitting beside him, happily stirring cocoa with both hands. Ethan followed her gaze, his heart sinking. "Oh, I'm so sorry," he blurted. "My babysitter canceled last minute, and I didn't want to flake on you." "I completely understand if this is weird, I can." Grace raised her hand gently, cutting him off. Her smile deepened. "He's adorable," she said. "What's your name, buddy?" "Liam," he said proudly, holding up his napkin. "I drew Iron Man." Grace laughed softly, crouching beside him. "That's amazing. You're quite the artist." Something inside Ethan eased at that moment, the kindness in her voice, the lack of judgment in her eyes. They ordered pancakes and coffee, and soon, the awkwardness faded. Grace asked Ethan about his work, and he admitted he'd been laid off months ago from his mechanic job. He'd been doing small gigs, fixing cars, delivering groceries, anything to pay rent and keep food on the table for Liam. "I never thought I'd end up like this," he confessed quietly. "But I promised Liam I'd always be there for him. His mom left when he was 3. I guess I'm still figuring out how to be both parents at once." Grace listened intently, her expression soft but thoughtful. "That sounds incredibly hard," she said. "But it also sounds like you're doing an amazing job." "Ethan, heard you were on your way to an interview when you saved my daughter." Daniel chuckled dryly. "Yeah. Didn't make it, though." Grace looked him in the eyes. "I own Bennett Industries. We're always looking for people with courage, quick thinking, and heart. Would you come in for an interview?" Daniel's jaw dropped. You own Bennett Industries? The billion-dollar company?" She smiled. "That's the one." The next week, Daniel walked into a glass skyscraper, his tie neat, his shoes shining. This time, no bus. Grace herself greeted him and walked him through the office. After the interview, she shook his hand and said, "Welcome to the team." Daniel fought back tears. Months passed. Daniel rose quickly, impressing everyone with his work ethic, humility, and leadership. Luke got new shoes and a better school. They moved into a modest but clean apartment with warm water and reliable heating. Grace and Daniel grew close, not romantically, but as friends bonded by an extraordinary moment. Emily and Luke became inseparable. Then one day, Grace invited Daniel to speak at a company leadership retreat. He shared his story, not to boast, but to inspire. He spoke of being broke, scared, alone, but still choosing to stop for someone in need. Choosing what was right, not what was convenient. "I missed the most important interview of my life that day," he said, his voice steady, but it led to something far greater. "I've learned that kindness is never wasted. Sometimes the smallest act of compassion rewrites your entire story." The audience rose in applause. Back in the audience, Luke whispered to Emily, "That's my dad." And Emily smiled, he's a hero.